Hello there, Peter Hewitt, La Artistino. We're up to part 3 of our colouring tutorial in Johanna Basford's beautiful World of Flowers. Now, a little while ago I put a picture up on Instagram. I'll just flick back to it, and I asked people if they would be interested in a tutorial based on the colour scheme that I used. This is the original picture, and the reply was an overwhelming yes, so I have devised this tutorial using this picture, because of course I can't use the same picture. Now, we got most of the way through it. We've just got a lot of little bits and pieces now to clean up and to add some special effects. What I thought we'd start with is getting the branches in. Now, I like to make the branches really dark to contrast with the flowers and the background. So the colours we're going to use for the branch are black. These are of course all in the Polychromos. This entire picture is coloured with Polychromos pencils. This tiny little walnut brown that's going to need replacing soon. A Van Dyke brown. And the Bist colour. I'm not quite sure how you pronounce it, I just call it Bist. So I'm sure somebody will correct me down in the comments if I'm getting it wrong. Okay, now the majority of this will be coloured in using the walnut brown because it's a lovely dark rich brown, but I'm going to do highlights in places on these little twigs and branches with the lighter colours, and in the very dark colours, the very dark parts, I'm going to deepen with a little bit of black. But I'll start working with the walnut brown. Now, the branches are quite small, so you're going to need to sharpen your pencil, and I'm just hoping that it'll fit in my sharpener. Oops, sorry about the grunts and groans. Right, I think I can just about sharpen it in this mechanical one again, but it's coming fast to the stage where I'm just going to have to sharpen it manually with a little sharpener. Okay, let's just leave that for now and we'll get started. This is the walnut brown, and I'll be doing the little branches. I'm using my little protective glove to protect the paper from the oils from my hand, and also to stop the colour from smudging around too. So we'll start in these little areas here. You don't have to worry too much about the detail in them because they're such tiny areas. But I'll just concentrate on, okay, I'll work over here, just where this little branch, this little twig peeks out underneath or between these flowers. I'll put the walnut brown right on either side of where it intersects with the flower colours, and I'll leave a tiny little bit in the middle which I will colour in Van Dyke brown, just to give it a slight variation. Okay, and we'll continue to work like that with the walnut brown, right up close to where it hides behind the flowers. Bring it down, soften it a little bit as you bring it down. This area is a little bit bigger, so we'll end up with some of the best in the centre. Just like that. So continue on that way, all the way around. If you don't think it's quite dark enough, just put a little layer of walnut brown over the top. Okay, now I will move my way around this picture. Where we've got a little twig going out to a leaf, I like to do it a little bit green, so I'm going to use the light green just for the end of that twig that's touching the leaf, and I'll let it melt into the darker brown using the Bist. Okay, now we're going to work on these little flower buds here. I'll start off with the green bits, and what I'll do is just make the base of these light green with the light green, and just the tip of the twig there where it attaches to the flower bud, I'll make the very tip green. Then I'll pop in some mist. And then finish off this twig with the Van Dyke brown. Nice and dark. Just blend it in a little bit to the base there. Right, now these little buds, we'll do the base of them in the light green, and because we're keeping in theme with the rest of the greens that we've used in the leaves, just to ensure that this piece is harmonious, I'll swap out now to the leaf green. Now the darkest, let's have a look, phthalo green, here we go, the phthalo green. And I'll use the phthalo green right on the edge of those petals, of those, what do you call them, special little leaves that wrap around a flower and protect it. The leafy part of the, or the covering part of the bud. Just on the edges there. Blend it down a little bit. And then go over it with the leaf green, just joining the light green to the phthalo green. Blending it down so it's a nice smooth transition. Make these buds for the yellow flower, so I'll start this time with the let's go for the cadmium orange. We'll just blush that in at the base of the bud as it peeks out from underneath where the little bud covers are. Bud covers, there's a proper name for it, I'm sure there is, but I don't know it. Anybody who know the name of these little parts of the bud, just leave a comment down below. Okay, now I'm going to go in with the, let's see now, might just do the cadmium yellow. And I'm going to blend it in here, but I won't take it right to the tip. I want to leave the tip pale. Really mix it in here with the orange, but leave the tip pale there. That's the way. That looks good. So we're imagining how the flowers, these ones here, would look if they were still buds, or possibly how they could look. Might just push a little bit of the pale geranium, just a little bit, just to give it a bit more definition there where it's coming out from underneath those little leafy covers, those green covers. Just a little bit, yep. Right, and we'll polish that up with, I think we'll go the ivory to finish colouring in the tip. Give it a nice blend there, and that's those ones done. Okay, we're up to the stage now where we're really just picking out the bits and pieces that haven't been coloured in yet and going through them. So I think what we'll do next is these little berries that are hanging here. And I think we might make them sort of a cross between this red colour and this purple colour, something a little bit in the middle. So I will start off with my magenta, and I'll just try and leave a little margin of white between the colour and the black line. It's a bit hard to see, but if you can do so, it makes the berries look like they're shiny. So I'll just put that magenta there, and then I'm going to use my geranium, pale geranium lake, and go over it a little bit. Just leaving the highlights there, so it looks like the light is bouncing off the shiny outside of the berry. And finally, the little tiny attachment here, that little tiny ball, I'm going to use the leaf green on. That teensy weensy little bit of leaf green there makes a nice contrast with those reddish purple colours. Okay, that's that. Now I think we better start seriously thinking about these fluffy pieces around here and what I want to colour them. I've been leaving them for a while because I haven't been sure what I'm going to go with, but I think what I would like to do is give it the feeling that it's still white, but you can't just leave it white because it'll look like it's not been coloured. So you have to add some sort of colour in there to make it look like it's coloured. Now the trick is nothing is truly white. There's always, everything that you see as white has a slight tinge, either a slightly pinkish tinge or slightly bluish tinge. So you've got to choose what sort of tinge you want for these. And I'll grab out my book here and have a look what I think might be suitable. I'm thinking I might like to go the earth green because I don't want to migrate too far out of the palette that we're already using. Like I don't want to bring in a bright blue, for instance, or a bright sort of pink or anything like that. The pink wouldn't work very well because we've already got too much pink in the picture to start off with, so that wouldn't make them look nice and stand out. So I'm thinking perhaps the cream with maybe a blush of earth green. Now I'm not sure if that's going to work, so we'll take our book and we'll play with it. Now the earth green is a very desaturated green, sort of a grey green that looks like this. A bit to a blank page here. Right, and we'll grab my cream where it's gone to. So what I'm thinking of perhaps is just, that's the little ball thing there. And I'm thinking that if we just add a little blush of the cream through it, leaving a margin of white around the outside so that it looks fluffy. So you've got this margin. It's very hard to see because the cream is very light colour, but I've got a, you know, a sort of a C shape of cream here, and then I've got another perimeter here is left white. Now let's see if we go with the earth green, what does it look like? So the earth green will be creating a little bit of a shadowy bit. Yeah, I think that'll work actually, with the purple and pink around it. I think we'll do that. That gives us a nice white pom-pom look, but it's not white. Well, most of it's not white, it's got a tinge of colour in it. So you can see that it's actually been coloured. Possibly finish it up, put a little bit of ivory on it. Okay, let's translate that into the picture. Now this time I might actually start with this desaturated earth green. Just so in case you're following along and you haven't got Polychromos pencils, That's what the earth green looks like. Okay. But we're not going to use it that dark. A possible substitute would be a light green grey colour. Yeah. Now I'm going to use a bit more of it dark here so that it's got this flower up top is throwing a bit of shadow over it. I think this is going to work fine. This isn't a colour I used in the other picture, but I think with these pom-pommy things, I think we need it. Now when you do the C shape, make sure that the base of it is the darkest, and then you just gradually lighten up as you get to the centre. Now I'll switch to my little cream colour. Just continue to shade that in a little bit. Yeah, I think that's probably the way to go with these little pom-pommy things. Right. Okay, let's try it with a bigger one. Okay, this one that's peeking out. Again, I'm going to use that as a shade. You don't want too much of this. You just want to, so you're not pressing hard, you're just going over it with soft circles, soft blushy circles. Swap to the cream. And leave some of it white. And swap to the ivory. Okay, right, down this one now. Again, I'm using this earth green to have create the shadow being cast by the flower in front of it. Maybe a little bit here for this flower here, just running along this petal. Now, hang on, just smooth that out a bit more. It's a bit messy looking. To the cream. Now you can see how we've used colour on this white pom-pommy flower, but we still recognise it as being white when you look at the entire picture. There are different ways to achieve white with colours. So I've gone over with the orange a little bit there. Move to these last ones down here. Now once again we are using the earth green to put in a bit of shadow, being careful not to go to the line, leaving a little perimeter of white, darker at the bottom, lightening up as you go to the centre. You don't have to worry about putting a shadow in here because you assume that the sun's somewhere up ahead, so the shadow will be pushed down, so you won't actually see it. That's the shadow from this flower here. So just pretend it's not there and keep going. Well, don't colour over the top of it, but going in now with the cream. Going over that earth green and just giving it a little halo of cream around the outside of that colour. And finally we will go in with the ivory. Move down here and do these two little butterflies. So we'll put that in the center so we can see them. Right, now I want the butterflies to stand out a bit but not detract from the entire picture. I don't want to use colors that are going to be too glaring and obvious. So what I think I might do is I'll use the same technique as I used in the butterflies on the original piece that I am basing this one off, and I'll put a little bit of very desaturated greyish blue in there along with some of the brighter colours. So we'll start with this guy, and the blue I'm going to use, I was going to reach for my, there we go, my Derwent blue grey, but I know a lot of people don't have that. So instead we will use this dark indigo, but we're going to have to go really lightly with it. And I'm going to colour these back wings with it here. Not all of it, just underneath where the top wing sits on top of the bottom wing. So you just really light, just a really light layer, gradually pulling it out so that it almost merges in with the white of the paper. Darker right in the corner and lighter as you go out. Okay, now I'm going to get hold of my sky blue. This is kind of like a light, very light, sort of a purplish blue colour. And I'll take that. These are colours that weren't on that list, by the way. I didn't include them because otherwise I'd be including the whole pencil case. Now if you don't have the light sky blue, any blue will do. Just go very lightly with it and then cover it with some white to lighten it off. Now speaking of white, here it is. We'll do the ends of this wing, these bottom wings, in the white. Now the top of the butterfly wing, I'm going to do an ombre of purple, red, and see if we can get it in down to a yellow down the bottom. So I'll start with the mauve, put a little bit of mauve in the centre. And work it down a little bit. And we'll pick up, oh hang on, that's not quite even, is it? Try and get it even. Right. Made a little line there, I don't know I've done that. Let's just lighten that bit off. A few little taps with my eraser. That's better. Okay, now I'll switch to the pale geranium. Most of the way down. And then switch to cadmium yellow to finish it off. Again, overlapping where we've done the geranium, but don't go over the purple, because yellow and purple together make mud. Okay, that's cute. Now for the rest of the wing, I'm actually going to use black. And I'm just going to give it a nice thick coating of black. And just the tips of his antenna. Really careful, just with a sharp pencil, just very gently dot in the black. Now his body I'm actually going to make brown, so I will be using the Van Dyke brown. I'll just make the extremes of it in the Van Dyke brown, and I'll put the bisque in the middle. One little butterfly done. Because of the black, he does stand out a little bit as a kind of a focus, a beauty mark. Now let's do the other one down here. I'm almost finished this. Okay. Now this one we will do in a similar way. I think. I'm going to go for the I'm just trying to decide what I might do. The little blackened spots I'm going to make, these little spots on the base I'm going to make black, and these other areas here I'm going to make black, and then I'll put colour around the outside of it in the same kind of idea of an ombre with the colour. Oops. Got a little bit more colour there in the centre, with an ombre of colour going from the dark from the tips to the yellow in the centre. So I'll start off again with the mauve. Finally the yellow. And these, oops, not that one. These outer spots I'm going to colour black. bottom here, I might just do him. I'm still working on it. I might just do him the blue colour, I think. Just making it blue at the base and pulling it out to a lighter colour. So pretty much mimicking the one over there, but just with a slightly different distribution of colour. Now if you want to do your butterflies differently, feel free to change. So that was the indigo, dark indigo blue. This one is the sky blue again. And the white. Now for these spots on the inner wings, I'm going to pop a little bit of this earth green, just so they're not completely without colour, like that, and then finish that off with the white again. And these spots on the bottom I'll also make black. Make sure you've got a really pointy pencil for this. A bit difficult to stay inside the lines. Right, now for the little guy's body. Again, we'll go with the Van Dyke Brown for the extremities. Colour his head in it, at the base of his thorax, and then the tip of his abdomen. And the best, colour in the rest. And that, I think, is all the colouring. Oh, hang on, we've got one more thing to do. Just spotted it. And that's over here. We've got the stems of these. Now, what I might do with those is I will take my light green again and move down from the actual pom-pom, and in this case the flowers. Like dandelions, aren't they? Got this dandelion colour, and then you've got the fluffy heads. And then I'll finish it off with the bist. Bring that in from the bottom. Just underneath the heads, I'm going to put a little bit of phthalo green just to cause a shadow there. Mix it up a little bit there with the light green. So that's all of the picture coloured, and now for the finishing touches. And for that, I'm going to be using a white gel pen. The gel pen I usually use is the Uniball Signo Broad. So open it up. It's always good to have a piece of paper here so you can just make sure that your ink's running fine. Every so often there gets a bit of crud, a bit of a build-up of dry ink around the ball, and you have to just wipe it off like that on the side. I usually just hold the point and spin it on its side on the paper to do that, just to stop, you know, to make sure all the dots are nice and even. So I'm just going to go around now, and I'm going to dot up the sky a little bit, looking for the dots that Johanna has left on the picture, and also I'll be popping in quite a few of my own. I'm also going to put in a few highlights on the leaves and on the flower petals as well. So it looks like a little bit of dew forming on it, a little bit of glistening. Just got the pad right up above me here, so I can quickly take my pen over to it and clean it every time it starts to look a bit clogged. Now to put the dots, you can just dot down for a little dot, or you can make a little circle. I'm just going to put a little bit of glistening dots all the way through, like stars. Sorry, that's my dog. Now he wants to go out. So make a variation anyway of the dots. Make them a big one and a couple of little ones orbiting it. I find it works best if you make like little clusters, little groups of dots. It seems to look more natural than just trying to spread them out as evenly as you can. The nice thing about these including dots is any areas of your initial background that looks a bit uneven or patchy, putting the dots on will help to disguise it. Sort of distracts from the patchiness because you've got the bright contrast of the dots there. Don't forget to put a little, 1 or 2 dots in the little areas, and to go up close to the branches, but don't actually touch them. Right. Okay, move down this side. Put a few dots on these petals, not every petal, just pick 4 or 5 to dot up a little bit, and the same for the leaves. Put a little stripe down it. Now the nice thing about using this gel pen is that if you decide that you don't like the dot, you know, it's in the wrong spot or whatever, you can just wait till it dries and then scratch it off with your thumbnail. And if you're careful and get it all off, and then you've got a nice clean surface to start again. You don't need to do many dots, just a little. just a little selection of them. You know, you've heard the term less is more. Just want random little clusters here and there. One big one, or one or two big ones, and a little group of little ones. Okay. This is just about done. I want to do something more with the butterflies, so what I think I might do is just put a little bit of sparkle on their wings too. I'll just outline the veins on this wing. And I'll just put a little bit of sparkle along the black. Okay, and this little butterfly here, he needs something as well. I'll just do the same thing, I think. I'll just put a little line of dots there. Okay, I think that could be it. Just at this stage, just stop, have a good look at your picture overall, see if you're happy with it. I think we're going to stamp this one as done. Okay then, I won't do anything with the other little dots here. I was thinking about putting a bit of gold on them, gold gel pen, but that's up to you if you want to do that or not. I'm just going to leave them. So that's it for this tutorial today. I hope that you are having fun on any other colouring adventure you are currently on. And until next time, happy colouring! I hope you're enjoying any colouring adventures that you are currently on. And until next time, happy colouring!